This is a CBC podcast.
Plans by World Energy GH2 to produce hydrogen in the Stephenville area are on hold. A statement from the company last week said the green ammonia market is not maturing at the rate expected. The company also says the market will dictate the timeline for its proposed project. That leaves the business community hoping that the company will continue with their plans for wind turbines, with other industries perhaps benefiting from the power. Debbie Brake-Patton is president of the Bay St. George Chamber of Commerce, and she spoke to Radio Canada's Patrick Butler.
How important is this project for the Stephenville area?
Well, I think this project is essential for this area at the current time because there's nothing else industrially that's going on right now. We need some economic growth and development. We're led to believe in 2022 that this will be a project coming sooner than later. We all, we're very hopeful that it would materialize. We're hopefully waiting for it to happen soon. So I think people are getting a little bit hopeless now and discouraged. So I think it's, we need some concrete information now to find if something is going to go ahead.
Yeah. Does it feel like there's a bit of a question mark around the project?
A little bit of question mark, probably more concern and worry and apprehension. We're very hopeful that it's going to happen. We just want some encouragement, some reassurance that, yes, this is going to go ahead for the area.
You talked about the sort of economic lull in Stephenville right now and how there's no industrial development. If World Energy weren't to happen, how significant would that be for this area?
Well, I'm not really sure how much worse it could get economically for this area. Our biggest employers are the college. We're very grateful to have this beautiful college here, and the hospital and the schools. They'll be our biggest employers, as well as the small businesses that contribute to the area. We also have a penitentiary, which, it does provide a lot of employment for the area and some other businesses. But nothing big that's going to, provide substantial wages and spin-off jobs for the area.
That is Debbie Brake-Patton. She is the president of the Chamber of Commerce, the Bay St. George Chamber of Commerce. She was speaking with CBC's Radio Canada's Patrick Butler. Patrick Butler of Radio Canada also spoke to Stephenville Mayor Tom Rose. He's also hopeful that World Energy GH2 can continue with its plans for wind energy in the area.
So let's talk first about World Energy GH2. They announced a few months ago that their plans have changed or have shifted. They're having difficulty finding markets for green hydrogen at the moment, so they're looking at other options. So we've heard about this sort of renewable energy campus idea. That would mean, if the project changes, it means updating the environmental impact statement, going through another round of environmental assessment. Is this project going to happen?
Patrick, I'm probably more confident now than I was a few years ago. A few years ago, I was confident that a hydrogen project was going to happen. And as we know that the commercial scalability and the readiness of markets and offtake agreements has really slowed down the demand for hydrogen. So World Energy has kind of pivoted to say what other industries would want to come to Stephenville, because we have world-class infrastructure, we have world-class winds, and that green energy is still very much sought after by multinationals. So I know a little over a year ago, or less than a year ago, at the Energy and L conference, they announced that Stephenville could be looked at for green steel manufacturing with green energy, also sustainable aviation fuels. And when you look at the Port of Stephenville and the airport and the infrastructure, Canada, our adjacency to the markets, and then the latest with the digital artificial intelligence data campus consideration. So I'm pretty excited we're going to get maybe not just one industry initially from hydrogen, that we might get multiples.
What's your understanding of what this data campus, like you put it, actually would be, what it would look like?
Yeah, it's interesting because we've had a little bit of interest from foreign investment on data campuses. And what we know about it, we've had some work done in our economic office, is that they require a lot of energy, but they also create a lot of heat. And one of our sustainable clusters, we looked at should a data campus come, require that green energy, create 400 jobs, as Mr. John Risley stated, it could be scaled at. There'd be a lot of excess heat. And excess heat for greenhouses is a critical important to the sustainability and viability of greenhouses to produce food. And as you well know, most people, just to heat your home, it's $300 or $400 a month. So I'm pretty excited about it. I don't know a whole lot about artificial intelligence other than there is a huge demand. It's growing, and there seems to be a lot of appetite for it.
These sound like interesting ideas. How abstract are they, though? I mean, we've been talking. World Energy proposed this project back in 2022, I believe. Yes. 2022, August 23rd. So of 2022. We had this promise of first hydrogen in 2025. We know that's not going to happen now. What convinces you that these other promises are actually going to pan out, are going to hold true?
Yeah. Well, I'm hoping, and I stay positive on the region and these projects. But the big one for me is initially when that green signing took place with the German Chancellor and the Prime Minister, and I believe it's the largest political signing in the history of the province of Newfoundland and Labrador, so that helps me believe. But when I looked at the provincial regulations on environment, it really slowed World Energy down, say compared to Nova Scotia. They kind of fast-tracked the green energy. We had higher due diligence, I guess, from an environmental perspective. And even when they got the green light, they still had 34 conditions they had to complete. That's a lot of planning, a lot of work to be done that they're still completing. So with these new products, so for example, green steel, right now they're shipping iron ore, from Sept-Îles to Norway to produce steel. Now Norway's a lot further from Sept-Îles than Stephenville, and if you look at a direct line coming out of the St. Lawrence Seaway, we're straight in. So with the green steel, I think there's a lot of capacity. Sustainable aviation fuels also has a lot of potential because if you look at the lift areas, New York, Boston, Montreal, Toronto, we're within 8 to 1,100 nautical miles of those ports out of the Port of Stephenville. So I'm really confident. This is a multinational, multi-billion-dollar play outside of my pay grade, Patrick. But I try to be apprised of the knowledge of multinationals, and I work closely with World Energy on these projects.
Tom Rose is mayor of Stephenville. Patrick Butler asked World Energy GH2 for an interview. However, company spokesperson Laura Barron sent a statement to him by email, so it reads in part, and this is from World Energy GH2, "We are talking to companies that are interested in sourcing renewable energy for their operations and setting up in Newfoundland and Labrador. The most promising opportunities in the near term appear to be synthetic fuel production and data centers." And that is from a statement from World Energy GH2. The statement did not indicate a timeline for those projects, and it stressed that if they were planned, any development would first be subject to new environmental assessments.
For more CBC podcasts, go to cbc.ca/podcasts.